I never thought I'd say this about Pinocchio movie, but 2 down, 1 to go. It's a weird year.
Own.
Starlight, star bright. First star I see tonight.
Tom Hanks has spent so much time playing your cartoony angelic father that why not play a cartoony angelic father in Pinocchio? This is the latest Disney live-action remake, and if you've seen my thoughts on other Disney live-action remakes, you know I'm not a fan, and when I saw the trailer for this, I thought this was gonna be one of the worst of them. I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at this trailer, I didn't like Pinocchio's kind of flat, dead-looking eyes. I'm sick of Tom Hanks trying to play Mr. Rogers Disney over and over, and Pinocchio's a fine film. I don't need to see it remade, especially by Robert Zemeckis, who I feel like has not been turning in the finest material recently. So believe me when I say, this is one of the Disney live-action remakes that's pretty close to decent. But it's still not decent. This is a very valiant attempt to capture the feel of the original while still throwing in some differences. It's not the exact same story, and I admire that. I feel like it gets a lot of the similar look to the original and the spirit in some ways. Some of the updates are very clever. But I can't in good conscience recommend this, mostly because the small mistakes that it does make are plenty, and they do add up to a point where it gets really, really distracting. But on that note, I will say, if I'm on the cusp of almost recommending this, I feel like there's gonna be a crowd of people that do enjoy this. I think kids are gonna like it fine. I think people that saw the trailer and are open to this idea will probably like it okay. Let me point out what does work, because like I said, there's actually a fair amount in this. One of the big surprises for me was Tom Hanks. He's not great. I still don't buy the accent he has. I don't know why people keep giving him accents in films. He's not good at them.
The only thing that matters is that that man gets up on that stage tonight.
What the hell is even that?
I think Tom Hanks does a good job holding down the fort for a good 20 minutes of this movie, because there's a lot of CG characters that pop up and talk and everything, and he really has to kind of act on his own.
Pinocchio should have been home by now.
I'm hideously fake. He's surprisingly more three-dimensional and human in this and less cartoony than the real-life human being he was supposed to play in Elvis. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays Jiminy Cricket in this, and it is a good impression of an impression. I think the original Jiminy Cricket, who I'm not really the biggest fan of in the original, but he gets the job done, he's fine, has kind of turned to this caricature over the years where when they tried to get someone to impersonate his voice, it always sounds like that in impersonation.
One night, a long time ago, my travels took me to a quaint little village.
One day, he can be a real... Well, now, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I guess this isn't what you signed up for when you decided to be a famous actor, is it?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is definitely impersonating the impersonation, which sometimes can be distracting because you're like, well, that's not a character, that's a voice. But that's kind of what Jiminy Cricket has been for a while, so I think it works okay, and a lot of people watching it are probably going to be used to it. The fox and cat are pretty funny in this. I actually wish they had more screen time. Pleasure Island is friggin' amazing. That's probably my favorite part of the movie. I think the whole reason Robert Zemeckis made this film is just so he could show this version of Pleasure Island. It is so much fun. It's so imaginative. It's so weird and creepy and distorted. There's some things they're not going to be able to get away with. You're not going to be able to show him drinking beer anymore or smoking or anything like that. And they don't find the best workaround. His big thing that he doesn't want to do is smash clocks. Like, that's the ultimate crime in this world, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Good form! Bravo!
Pinocchio himself works okay. I was really ready to have this huge disconnect with him because, like I said, the painted on eyes just didn't look right to me. But I think they focus enough time on him and not on Tom Hanks as the main character. I was really thankful for that. I thought they were going to do like a Drew Carey thing, that I really was getting enough of a connection to this character. It feels like this is a similar universe to what the original Pinocchio had, but it does have some live action updates points to it. There's some points where they'll cut some stuff out that's not needed in a live action version. Like, remember in the original when they go to Geppetto's place and there's the blue fairy dropping a little note down saying he was in a whale? That is some sloppy exposition right there, and they cut that out. Not to say it always makes sense here. There's a seagull voiced by Lorraine Bracco. Lorraine Bracco's a fine actress. I just would not cast her as a seagull. I don't know who I would cast as a seagull. I just know who I wouldn't.
Can you imagine the trouble he's gonna get into?
Wouldn't want that on my conscience.
I'm just waiting for her to say, "You mentioned ducks. Let's talk about them." There's a subplot about a girl who wants to be a ballerina, but she has a broken leg, so she kind of gets out her dancing through puppetry during the No Strings on Me song, and she actually forms a nice friendship with Pinocchio through the puppet because he, understandably so, kind of gets afraid of humans, so he can talk to this puppet that she can use her voice through and everything. It's a cute scene that, yes, you could argue, is it really needed? But again, if you're doing a remake, I don't mind these additions.
An almost real boy.
That fish is scary. I don't care what anyone says. That fish is scary. Don't look at me, fish. You horrify me. To go to the next clip, Jesus. So, okay, that's the good stuff. The bad stuff honestly can be summed up in one early scene. There's a moment where, you know, he has all these cuckoo clocks set up, and one of them goes off, and there's a little Woody the cowboy in the cuckoo clock. Now that's okay, but it doesn't stop there. Then they show a Sleeping Beauty cuckoo clock, a Roger Rabbit cuckoo clock. They show about 3 or 4 other Disney cuckoo clocks that start to get you asking, wait, do cocktail dresses and high heels exist in this world? Like you had one edition that was passable, and then you go 5 steps too far. There's a scene in this film where the fox and cat are trying to convince Pinocchio to not go to school, to forget about education, and go and be famous, go in entertainment. I was thinking to myself, actually, that's kind of clever and really relevant nowadays, because there are a lot of kids that don't really want to focus much on education. They just want to go into show business. They want to be influencers. Sure enough, he says, you could be an influencer. God damn it, movie.
Looks like some sort of fairy magic. Kinda on the nose, if you ask me.
There's far worse. When they're trying to figure out what to call him, they say, well, you look like you're made out of pine. We could call you Chris Pine. Oh, Jesus, fuck. There's not a buttload of these jokes, but there's just enough that they do become annoying. And maybe the strangest thing is that they're taking the super memorable lessons from the story. I mean, what do you remember? You tell a lie, your nose grows long. You act like a bad boy, you're gonna turn into a donkey. Classic lessons ingrained in our memories, and they kind of go against them. For example, the fox and cat try to tell him not to go to school, go into entertainment. Well, at first he says, nah, I'm going to school. He goes there, and he's kicked out. Then he goes into entertainment. Well, how is that really teaching the lesson? When he's saying what happened and he starts to lie and his nose gets long, there's no point to lie. He could just tell him he tried going to school and they rejected him. Or you know the scene where he's tricked into going to Pleasure Island to be a bad boy and everything. Here he's literally kidnapped via net, forced by all the kids who were staring him down to go to this place. And I know they're kind of playing off the idea, well, peer pressure, but he's literally miles away from anywhere, and they made it clear they're not gonna turn around and drop him off because they kidnapped him via net.
Turn around, let me get a look at you.
Yes, the body of Christ compels you, okay. And probably the part that I feel like people are gonna be the most divided on, and I do understand, is the ending. And without going into spoilers, they do change it, and I'm really on the fence about it. I get the feeling a lot of people are not gonna like it because it does straight up completely change what the ending of the original is. But there is an attraction I have to endings where the theme and the idea is cope. I kind of like the idea of Wreck-It Ralph and Nightmare Before Christmas because it isn't an entirely happy ending. It's just something where you change the mindset and not necessarily the physical world around you. But with that said, it kind of makes me think of this old Christmas special where Jiminy Cricket is going to sing When You Wish Upon a Star, and he had this to say about it.
It symbolizes faith, hope, and all the things that Christmas stands for.
Exactly. It's symbolic, and this is a story, again, that's gonna ride your emotions. It's all about symbols. I mean, growing noses, and foxes tricking you, and a puppet turning into a real boy. These are all things that we know don't exist in real life, and we accept them as fairy tales. They're symbolic fairy tales, and it's to teach us life lessons. I would maybe be more forgiving with how they ended it if they didn't rush it. It's bizarrely fast-paced. Jiminy Cricket doesn't even sing When You Wish Upon a Star in this. That's how rushed it is. And there's a really bizarre scene where he's saying, well, in other versions of the story, they say this happened. Did it really? Who knows? What do you mean, who knows? Are you the narrator or not?
You will always be my real boy.
With an asterisk. It's definitely with an asterisk. So yeah, I honestly thought this was going to be a lot worse. I thought I was going to get another Beauty and the Beast. I thought I was going to get another Lion King. But I didn't. I got something that I was really close to enjoying and did enjoy some of the changes. And I thought got kind of the whimsical, even creepy atmosphere of the original. But how can you watch this movie without immediately thinking back to the emotional roller coaster of the original? Because they do just throw so much emotion at you, and it is such an emotional story that you can't watch these scenes and not immediately think back to how your heart was just pounding so hard at the sperm whale scene, or how it was so tearful when you see Pinocchio apparently dead, or when you get so creeped out at the donkey transformation scene. You're gonna remember these emotions as you watch this, and it's not going to be as powerful. I don't want to say it's empty, because I really don't think it is. I think they actually did create enough atmosphere and enough of a likable character, and even side characters with Tom Hanks and some of these other ones, where there is a little bit of emotional connection, but it's not a major one. And when you're remaking one of the most emotional powerhouses in Disney history, you really need to be packing a lot with this, and I don't think they really have it. So let's give it 2.5 out of 4 Chris Pines. I was close to liking it. I think it's decent for kids, but it doesn't need to exist. With that said, what were your thoughts? Did you really like this movie? Did you enjoy the changes? Do you think they actually made the story better and make a little bit more sense? Or do you think it's terrible? Do you think these Disney remakes need to stop and the changes they have just completely destroyed the story? Or are you somewhere in between where you kind of thought it'd be a lot worse and what you got honestly wasn't nearly as bad? Also, what do you think about this? We were trying lava mics before, but it's just something keeps happening with the frequency, so this is kind of the way we can get the best sound here, but we don't know if it's going to be like distracting to you all, if it kind of looks like a stand-up or a podcast or whatever, so I just wanted to try something with better sound. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, we can put it back to the way it was before. That's about it, and I'll see you next time. Take care.